And now, finally, we get to Meghan. Now, you guys, the title of this part 3 is Captain of My Soul. And at least he realizes that. But why would you want it to be that way? Yo, look at this. Don't mind my scratches in the book. Like, Captain of My Soul? That's what we're doing with that's where we're going with now? Look, there they are in Africa, barefooted. Because they're just so, normal. Okay, let's talk about when he meets her. Let's talk about what happens. Okay. He's sitting at Not Caught on his bed, scrolling Instagram as one does. And he sees a video of his friend, Violet. Violet is with this woman who is more beautiful than he has ever known a woman to be. Now, this video, they're like playing around with that dumb filter. Remember the dog filter, like with the little ears and the nose and the long tongue? I never understood why any grown person would spend even 1 second of their time playing with filters on their phone. Like, I can understand like maybe a mom and a child would like goof around with it or something like that. But like 2 grown adult women. And he goes on to talk about how he had never seen anybody with such a beautifully symmetrical face, and he felt that the chaos of his life would be settled once he got that symmetry into his life. Take that, Jordan Peterson. And he says that what he knew instantly from the video was, listen to this. There was an energy about her, a wild joy, playfulness. There was something in the way she smiled, the way she interacted with Violet, the way she gazed into the camera. Confident, free. She believed life was one grand adventure. I could see that. What a privilege it would be, I thought, to join her on that adventure. You got all that from a corny, childish dog filter? The wild playfulness? A grand adventure? Anyway, he just knew he had to get that woman in his life. So he messages Violet and he's like, who's that woman? And she's like, yeah, you and everybody else in London wants to know. And he's like, no, really, who is she? And she's like, well, she's just here for a little while. She's working for Ralph Lauren. But she's got to go back to Canada. But I can give her your information if you want it. And he's like, please, anything. I'll sell my soul. And so Violet gives the information. Well, a couple days later, what should he get? Oh, notification. Who could it be from? The American. And they message back and forth. She says that, she really likes his Instagram feed. And, they go back and forth a little bit. And she says that she has done a lot of work in Africa. And she's done some aid work there with children. And they talk back and forth about Africa. It's like already this spider has been researching his Instagram feed. So she knows immediately what she needs to say. Oh yeah, me too. I do a lot of aid in Africa with children and gorillas. So at the same time that he was meeting with her, or that he was starting to message her, and he says that it was like an all-consuming thing. Like he couldn't put his phone down. He couldn't do anything. He was just glued to his phone. And he was supposed to be going with Sir Keith because he had agreed to do this boating race. And remember, Sir Keith is the guy who's in charge of the Invictus Games. So he says that he gets to Sir Keith's house, right? He's staying with this man, okay? And he says he went immediately up to his room so he could just keep texting. Do you hear this? This 31-year-old man runs upstairs so he can keep texting his, this girl that he just that he just met, rather than speaking with his host, being polite, runs up to his room, locks the door, stays in there until it's time to go to the race. That is so wildly rude. I cannot even get past it. Okay, anyway, text. Finally, he's got to take a break. He's got to put the phone down. He's got to go race. It's a 5-hour race. How are they going to manage 5 hours without talking to her? And this begins the most ridiculous story possibly in the book that I've read thus far. Okay, you hear what I'm saying? Because we've read a lot of crazy things. We're going to get to, I consider this on par with, or maybe I would say almost worse than the stupid Todger story. Okay, because if the Tarja story is real, that might have been pretty scary if you thought that you were frostbitten so bad that you might need to have surgery. I still don't even think that's a true story, but if it were true, it would make it like, I don't think the whole world needs to know about that, but maybe if you were like, it depends on how afraid you were about it. Anyway, this next story has absolutely zero worth to his book other than to just embarrass. Like, I feel so humiliated and embarrassed for him that he shares this with us. Anyway, oh, you should know before we get there. Listen to this coincidence. He says, this is the day that they're getting together, talking anyway. It occurred to me how uncanny, how surreal, how bizarre that this marathon conversation should have begun on July 1st, 2016, my mother's 55th birthday. Let me assure you that that was not a coincidence. So anyway, we get on to the race. Before he even goes on the race, he writes that they decided that they should meet while she's still in London because she's going to be leaving soon. She keeps saying that, like, I'm not going to be here that much. Like, I'm not really in London hardly at all. Like, I just love, I know you want to meet and all that, but I'm really busy. So, like, she's already making herself a commodity. You know what I mean? Like a rare commodity. Like, if you want to get with me, I'm like really hard to pin down because I'm so busy. I've got so much stuff to do. Like, lucky you if you could manage to find some time with me, but I just don't know how that's ever going to really happen. Okay, so she's already playing that song and dance. Anyway, finally, he's like, please, I really want to meet you. He's begging to meet her. It's just like, oh, where's your pride, Harry? And finally, she grants him. She puts out her scepter and allows him to walk into the room. She says, we can meet. And he says, well, where do you want to meet? And he suggests, you could come to my house. And she says, your place on a first date? I don't think so. All right, so, she's just very clearly drawing boundaries, but it's not even in a nice way. Like, it's like, your place, ? On a first date, ! I don't think so, period. I feel like in that interaction, I would have been like, I think let's try something, like, let's meet somewhere else. Let's meet like in a public place. Like, I don't think that I would try to phrase it in a way that he would feel stupid for saying that. Anyway, because why make somebody feel stupid? I know that, like, the big thing now is, ladies, you need to, you always need to be real harsh with a man because he needs to, like, not think that he can manipulate you into sexual situations. I don't think you need to be that way. You don't know if he was trying to manipulate you into a sexual situation. Don't assume the worst about a person. Just say, I'd rather not do that. Let's meet in a public place. Your place? On a first date? I don't think so. All right, so already I think she's kind of rude. But anyway, they agree to meet at this place called Soho House. And she says it's her headquarters whenever she comes to London. And she'd reserve them a table in a quiet room. Okay. Then he says this. He hasn't told us her name, by the way, this whole time. Then he says, the table would be under her name, Meghan Markle. And truly, you guys, when I read, I knew we were talking about Meghan the whole time, but when I read that name, my stomach dropped. It was like reading about a murderer and his victim. I just was like, the foreboding I felt at reading that name, I felt like I was reading a crime novel. Anyway, okay, back to the story that I had hinted at that was just wild to me. He goes on this boating exhibition with Sir Keith. Now, you guys, it was a 5-hour race, okay? He says that it was a really fierce battle to navigate this boat. The winds were crazy. The waves were insane. A lot of people actually had to drop out of the race. Not him, okay, you guys, because he was just such an excellent captain. He says that the real problem had nothing to do with the waves, though. Let him assure you. The real problem was that there was nowhere to go to the bathroom. And he says that it's all he could think about. And he says that he held it as long as possible, but then he had no choice. He says he swung his body over the side into the tossing sea. And he still couldn't pee, mainly thanks to stage fright. The whole crew was looking. Literally, why are you telling us this? And then he says, finally, he went back to his post and sheepishly hung from the ropes. And then he peed his pants. This is the sentence. Finally, I went back to my post, sheepishly hung from the ropes and peed my pants. Wow, I thought, if Miss Markle could see me now. Why in the world are you telling us this? Like, why did you tell us this? A grown man can't hold it for 5 hours? What's wrong? Truly, what is wrong with you? Maybe you were damaged from the frostbite. It's 5 hours. If you went to the bathroom beforehand and you hadn't really had anything to drink, you can't hold it? You literally peeing your pants? Also, why are you hanging from the side of the boat to pee? Could you stand on the edge? You're a man, right? Like, why are you hanging from the side of the boat? I don't get that. What in the world is that story? Then I hung over there by the ropes and sheepishly peed my pants. I can't. It's too crazy. Okay, anyway, they win. At least in their division. Okay, so good. Then he says that his only concern was jumping into the water to wash the pee off his trousers. Okay, so then he starts talking about how, okay, now it's time for the date. Okay, so he literally has just peed his pants, but he's going to race back to London, you know, hopefully take a bath, and then go meet Miss Markle. Okay, this is the part where I'm talking about, like, condescension just reigns supreme in this girl's personality. He says that when he was trying to get back, there was just, the traffic was horrendous. Every 5 minutes, like, the traffic would stop and he'd just be sitting there, and he's like in a panic because he knows she's waiting for him, and they're texting back and forth, and the texting is not going well, let me just say. Okay, so he says that he texted her, running a bit late, sorry. She was already there. And he apologizes again. It's horrible traffic. This is her reply. Okay, period. You guys, who among us would be okay with receiving that text? Why so cold? Why already being so controlling? Okay, period. Like, he said he was sorry. Like, what? I mean, you know what the traffic in London is like. Like, get off his back. Why is she so rude already? Because she knows she can be. That's the thing. She knows that she's so beautiful, and he's already so hung up on her, that she can treat him however she wants. And this is the problem. You know, Meghan always is on and on and on about, like, I wasn't, like, the pretty one. I was the smart one. And the truth is, she's actually not the smart one. I mean, all we have to do is look what she named her podcast. Archetypes, really? It exposes your cavernous ignorance. But she truly has gone through life, not on her intelligence, but on her looks. And if she has any intelligence at all, it's that she knows how to manipulate people at the beginning. But she doesn't know when her hand is played, and that's her real problem. She doesn't know when to turn it off. Anyway, there he is fighting the traffic, and she says to him, "You just get out, walk, okay? I don't have forever." And he's like, "I'm sorry, the traffic's just still moving really slow." And she's like, "Well, then you're gonna miss out on this, because if you don't get here really fast, I mean, I've got other things to do today." And so he's like in a panic, like his heart is pounding. He can't get there fast enough. She's gonna leave, and she's like letting him feel that way. She's letting him feel that way on the first date. Like, are you kidding me right now? And by the way, Harry, why are you letting this girl make you feel this way? Like, if I, as a woman, was gonna go on a date with a man and he talked to me that way, I would be like, you know what? Wait till the end of time. I'm not coming. Like, what is this? Okay, period. Get out and walk then. I have other things to do today. Like, what the? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Ladies, would you take that from a man? I think not. Harry, why are you taking it from her? Don't let anybody treat you that way. Okay. So finally, he writes this. He says, he just didn't answer that because he didn't know how to explain to her, like, I can't get out. The bodyguards would have to get out. People would notice me. People would take pictures. Like, I just need to stay in the car. But he doesn't want to convey all that in text, so he doesn't say anything. And he goes, texting wasn't the way to convey this, you know, getting out. So he's like, so I just I didn't answer, which surely irritated her. Already at her mercy. At last he arrives, red cheeked, puffing, sweaty, half an hour late. He runs into the restaurant, into the quiet room, and finds her sitting at the table. And of course, she looks dazzling. He says that I couldn't imagine many people had been late for this woman. I settled into the sofa and apologized again. He'd already said sorry. She said she forgave me. Oh, thank you. Don't beat me too hard this time. She was having a beer, some sort of IPA. Would she be drinking anything else? They talk about this, that, and the other. She was heart attack beautiful, he says. Look, I'm not going to take that away from her. She is gorgeous. Like, no kidding. She's beautiful. And she has a really unique beauty about her. And so I'm not surprised that he thought she was beautiful. We can all agree. Doesn't matter how much you hate Meghan Markle. She has a really pretty face. But she doesn't have a pretty heart. Anyway, so they talk about this, that, and the other. She's like over there making him feel super small by talking about like how like she really hammers on about how smart she is. Like their first conversation, it's all about me. I did this, I did that. I'm a lifestyle writer. I'm a traveler. I'm a corporate spokesman. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm an activist. I'm a model. She's gone all over the world. She works for the U.S. Embassy in Argentina. This is what she says. And, you know, so she clearly is the captain of her own soul. And she wants to let him know that she doesn't really need him. Like, she's not looking for it, you guys. But, you know, her real plan for life, she wants him to know. My real plan for life is that I just want to help people, do some good, just be free. Okay. Well, you haven't helped anybody, you haven't done any good, and somebody is trapped under your tyranny. So, all right, I'm glad that that's what you want for your life. Then he says that suddenly she just gathered up her things and was like, all right, I'm out. Bye, good knowing you. I gotta go have dinner with my friends. And he's like, wait, what? I thought the conversation was going really well. And she's like, well, busy girl, busy gal, gotta go. So she gets up, gathers her stuff, and shoots out of there. I mean, talk about rude. I'm not saying that she can't have had other things to do that day, but is that the exit you want to make? She's fine with it. So, like, she shoots off. She gets out of there right quick. And then he decides that he, you know, doesn't want to be alone, so he calls his friend. He asks if he can come on over. And when he gets there, his friend can tell, just from his face, that something has happened. And he's like, I'm not going to tell him. I told him. And he recounts the entire date, and then he's like, shit, mate, what am I gonna do? So out comes the tequila, because now, you know, he doesn't drink any of that English gin and tonic anymore. It's tequila all the way. Out comes the tequila. Out comes the weed. We drank and smoked and watched Inside Out, an animated movie about emotions. Perfect. I was thoroughly inside out. Okay. But during all of this smoking and drinking and cartoon watching, the phone rings. Oh shit! I held it up for my mate. It's her. Who? Her. She wasn't just calling. She was FaceTiming. Okay, side note, you guys, what's with people who just FaceTime? I hate that. I hate that so much. No, I don't want to watch your face while you talk. Put the phone up, okay? That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. No, you don't just get to see my face. Get out of here. I hate that. I hate FaceTime so much. And people who FaceTime in public, it's like, we don't all want to be in on your conversation. And people who assume you want to FaceTime. Meghan, of course Meghan would, because she knows her bread and butter is her face, you guys. So of course she's going to like thrust her face into yet every situation she can. She knows that if she calls him after that date they just had, and she FaceTimes him, like this is just yet one more ploy here. Because she knows that he finds her stunningly beautiful. So she can't just call him. She's got to FaceTime him. So, just putting her claws in that much deeper. Hello? Hello? What are you up to? I'm with my mate. What's that in the background? Oh, Are you watching cartoons?
No, oh, I mean, well, yeah, kinda. It's Inside Out.
Okay, already this interaction, can you imagine how embarrassed you'd feel? Like, she just, like, wants to make him feel like he's lame. And I mean, between you and me and the wall, yeah, he is. But, like, if you're actually interested in a relationship with this person, why do you want to be with somebody who you think is lame? Like, why are you always trying to make him know that he's, like, not with it? That's more of a criticism of you if you would pick somebody who you think is not your intellectual or emotional equal. Why would you want to be with somebody like that? Well, the answer is because they're very easy to manipulate and you get your way all the time. Anyway, he says that he walks out, you know, of the room because he kind of wants to just talk to her alone without, you know, the cartoons in the background. And he says to her,
God, I love your freckles.
And she takes a quick, it's so theatrical. She takes a quick breath. Every time I'm photographed, actually they want to airbrush them out because they don't think they're beautiful. It's like, oh my gosh, you're so manipulative.
That's insane. No, they're really beautiful.
She said she's sorry she had to run. She didn't want me to think that she hadn't enjoyed meeting me. And I asked when I could see her again.
Tuesday?
No, I leave Tuesday.
Oh, tomorrow.
Okay. 4th of July. We set another date. Back at Soho House. Okay. So, let me see. Okay, this is our last story. Okay. This video is like an hour long. All right, so she'd spent the whole day at Wimbledon because she was cheering on her friend Serena Williams. Remember, she wants us to believe that she and Serena are super friends. And this time he makes sure that he's at Soho House first, you know, because can't have another repeat of that absolute beating. And she comes, and he had brought her a little present. She comes in beautiful. She's wearing a blue sundress with white pinstripes. She's a glow. And he stands up.
I bear gifts.
And it's a pink box. She held it forward, and she shakes it. What's this?
Oh, no, don't shake it. Don't shake it. It's cupcakes. You know, red, white, and blue for the 4th of July.
Already turning his back on the Brits. She said they looked amazing. They sit there and talk and drink and kiss and order food that they don't eat. Then nearing the end of the night, she turns to him, and you guys, I can just hear her saying this, and I can't with it. So after they've gotten done just canoodling and wasting food, she says that at the end of the night, as the night neared its end, we had a very frank discussion. There is no way around it. She puts her hand to cheek.
What are we gonna do?
That's what he, like, look at the prolonged O's here.
What are we gonna do? Well, we have to give it a proper go.
What does that even mean, though? I live in Canada. I'm going back tomorrow.
Well, we'll meet. A long visit. This summer.
But my summer's already all planned out, Harry. I've already got an absolute jam-packed summer. I just don't have time to meet you again. And he says, well, I'm busy too. And then she says, you guys, listen to this. Surely in the whole summer we could find one small spot of time. She shook her head. Sorry. She was doing the full eat, pray, love.
Eat what now?
The book.
Oh, sorry. I'm not really big on books.
Well, quite frankly, neither is she, if that's what she calls a book. He says, I felt intimidated. Already on the second date. Would you want to go out with this person? Like, you guys, seriously, just pause on the story. So far, would you want to go out with Meghan again? Like, from these two instances, and like the texting and whatever. Is this somebody that you would be like, I want to keep this feeling in my life? Like, I want to always feel small. I want to always feel judged. I want to always feel like I'm not quite good enough. Like, just because she's pretty, you are willing to throw away whatever scraps of self-confidence you had just because she's got a pretty face? Okay, anyway, back to the story. He says he felt intimidated. She was so opposite of me. She read. She was cultured. It's not important, she laughed. The point was, she was going with 3 girlfriends to Spain, and then 2 girlfriends to Italy, and then she looked at her calendar. I looked at mine. She raised her eyes.
What is it? Tell me.
Actually, there's one small window. You don't say. Recently, she explained, a castmate had advised her not to be so structured about the summer of eating, praying, and loving, and keep 1 week open. This castmate said, leave some room for magic. So she'd been saying no to all kinds of things, reserving this 1 week, even turning down a very dreamy bike trip through the lavender fields of southern France. I looked at my calendar and I said,
well, I have 1 week open as well.
What if they're the same week?
Well, what if?
Is it possible?
Well, how crazy would that be?
Lo and behold, it's the same week. Get the heck out of here. I kind of tell you this much right now. That girl didn't have one dang thing planned for whatever week he was free on. Anyway, he suggests they spend it in Botswana. And he gave her his best Botswana pitch, being like, it's the best place. If you're looking for magic, that's the place to go. We could, go look at some elephants. And they're going to camp under the stars in the middle of nowhere. And she stares at him. He goes, I realize it's crazy, but all of this is obviously a bit crazy. You're telling me. All right, that's where we end. Here we are an hour into this video, but you guys, what did we just read? How is it that he wanted to keep going out with this girl? I had the open mind. I did. You guys, I promised that I was going to read this with an open mind. I really was going to read it and be like, oh man, I can totally see why he went for her. Oh, she really played him. No, he wanted to be played. That is like so evidently obvious. He didn't care what came out of her mouth. He didn't care what she said. She was just so beautiful to him that he needed that beauty in his life more than he needed a partner in life. She was not going to partner with him. It was very clear from the get-go. You come with me. I run this show. Let's put your leash and collar on. Get on all fours. I mean, it's just like so ridiculous to me. Crazyville. That she was still, that he would still want to go out with this girl. After that first date of being stuck in traffic and her just like making him feel bad and then like offering him out of the great overspill of her generosity, the forgiveness that he was late. She knew he'd just been doing that boating thing. She knew. I mean, like, why in the world was she acting like she was so put upon? And I mean, I'm not saying that you should be late to things, okay? I really don't like lateness either. But what I am saying is, if you think like they had talked for like hours up to this point. Obviously, this is a person who you really would like to get to know. Can you not just ease up a little on the whole time thing? Like, you guys can still text the whole time he's in the car, right? So what's your problem? Like, you can still, and by the way, okay, this is my other thing too, and I promise I really will go because you have other things to do. Why did it, like, they texted for ages, like for days leading up to it. Like, they were on the Instagram, DMing each other back and forth. And then they were exchanged numbers and then they texted. But until she FaceTimed him after their first date, they had never picked up the phone and just had a proper conversation like a couple of adults. Everything about this relationship is so incredibly childish, starting with that dumb dog filter. Anyway, I can't wait to get into more of this because this girl is already driving me crazy. And I do not like her. And I tried, you guys. I give you my word, I tried. She's just such a snake. Just such a snake, such a spider on the web, Just waiting for the vibrations of Harry so that she can scuttle over.